Team, let's continue our LLM learning journey. We explored what is Llama. We installed it in our system, executed it through our command prompt. Later, we also create a nice user interface through which user can interact, and that was acting like a offline chat GPT powered by Llama, right? Next, we are going to work on really interesting project, which is AI interview assistant. So here we will build an interactive AI interview coach using Streamlit and Llama 2. This app will helps you or will help any job seekers who wants to practice for the interviews by evaluating their answers and giving constructive feedback. This is the agenda for this particular video. Now, what are the things that we are going to use? What are the technology that we are going to use? We will use Streamlit, right, which will act as a EY creator. Next, we will use Llama 3, which will be our LLM model, and that will run locally with the help of Ollama. And we will use Python plus REST API for interaction, right? What are the features it will have? It will have a features like, suppose you are trying to practice for an interview. So first, you can choose your role like data scientist or software engineer or data engineer, anything, right? Thereafter, you will submit your answer to common interview questions, right? You have to just submit the answers of the common interview questions, right? And thereafter, the AI generated feedback will tell you what is good, what can be improved, right? And the model answer that is good, okay, that is more attractive for the recruiters, right? So let's get started with this journey, and we will move to the coding interface where we will start coding it. All right, so let's move to VS Code. So this is our VS Code, which will be helpful in writing our Python script, right? So first, let's import our library. The libraries are Streamlit, right? So first import Streamlit as SD. Next, it is requests, right? So why requests are used? To raise or request to the locally running Llama, right? Through Ollama server. Next, we will import JSON, right? Next, we will set the page configuration, right? So set sd dot set page config, the function that will be used to set the page configuration. In the page configuration, we will set over here the page title. Okay, so page title can be like this: AI interview coach, right? Next, we will set the layout. Obviously, I want it to be in the center, so layout will be centered. All right, that looks good. Next, we will set the title, right? So title that is visible on our page. So it's like AI, personal AI for interview preparation. All right, so we did this much. Okay, we just did this much. Thereafter, we will execute it and check how it is working. So how can we execute it? To execute it, we need to move to the folder where we created this particular file. So let's move to the folder where we created this file. This is a folder in which this file is existing. All right, we will launch command prompt at this location, and we'll move to the command prompt, right? Let's check. This is your command prompt. Now we have all the files listed in this particular folder. We want to run a single file, so I'll just write streamlit run, okay, and the name of file. This is the file that we want to execute, so copy and paste it. We will execute it, and it will start running locally on our system, and we can check the output in a web browser. So this is at the center, and we can see the title, and this at the top you can see the page title. Next step is what? Next step, we will write the code for user input, and other kind of, like suppose I have to decide the role, or I have to take the user input, or there will be an area for the answer. So those things will define, right? So let's say define over here user input. Okay. So for that, role is equals to st dot select box. So role can be selected from a select box or a drop down box kind of thing, right? So here I'll give few options. Let's say choose the role you are preparing for. All right. So for which role you are preparing, you can just choose over here, right? So let's say I'll put over here three roles. Let's say data scientist. Okay. Thereafter, software engineer. This should be within the quotes, right? So please don't miss the quotes. And third thing, it can be, let's say, product manager, right? So product manager. All right. So these things we have defined it over here. Once the role is defined, next we do what? We'll create a field for asking the question. So question will be equals to what? st dot text input. Okay. So there'll be a field where we can ask the question. So let's say interview question. Okay. We can just define some predefined question, or we can also ask over here. Okay. So let's say there is a question over here. Tell me about yourself. This is generally used to be the first question. Okay, after this, we can just give some questions over here and again give the answer. So let's say user input, or you can say user answer, right? So user answer will be again your text area in which user answer will be appeared. So text area, and then here it will be your answer. Okay, so we did this much, and thereafter we'll check how is it working. We'll just save it, and after saving it, we'll get back to our user interface and check the returned result. Fine. So here it's a select box from where we can select. Hey, tell me about yourself, and then I'll just enter I am, let's say, Bipul. That's it, and I press enter. So as of now it is doing nothing. So I want it to analyze my answer. So if I wanted to analyze my answer, what I need a button over here, right? So let's create a button, right? So let's move to our code and we'll create a button over here, right? So for creating a button, st dot button. Okay, and in the button we'll give over here evaluate the text on the button. So let's save it, right? So whenever user will press this button, an activity will be triggered. Okay, which activity will evaluate the answer. But for that we have to write a condition over here, right? That means if this button is clicked, right? If this button is clicked, then what to do? Then there will be a prompt that will initiated. This prompt will be responsible for evaluating the user answer. So prompt will be what? Let's say you are an expert interviewer. You are an interviewer. You are an expert interviewer for a role. I can decide what is role. Role is a variable, right? So this value I want to use it over here. So I'm using what? Curly braces, because here it's a formatted text. It is a formatted text. This will be replaced by the value of variable. Which variable? Role variable, position. All right. Thereafter, the user answer will be given to this guy. So here is a candidate answer. Candidates should be, it's don't matter a lot, but still we'll try to be more grammatically correct. Answer better than should be response, right? Here is a candidate's response to the question. Where is our question? The question isn't question variable, right? So I'll just pick it from here. All right. All right. And thereafter, we'll do what? We'll just define a response, right? And where is my response? Here is our user answer. Okay. So we had given these things as a prompt. Now, on what basis I want to evaluate? That's what I have to define. So let's say I want to evaluate this response. Okay. Evaluate this response and mention few things. Okay. What it needs to mention? It needs to mention what is good, right? Thereafter, it needs to mention over here what can be improved. Okay, and thereafter it can mention what third, a model answer. Okay, these things I want it to be generated, right? Now how it can generate, we'll write the next thing. So now just follow the indentation. When you click the button, these all things will happen, right? So here we are using triple quotes, so these all things will be considered as multi-line text. Okay, but here multi-line text ends, so from here we have to again follow the indentation, right? So thereafter there will be a spinner that will activate it. You know what a spinner does? A spinner will just kind of rotate, right? Till the time an answer is generated, so that it can actually showcase, or it can just kind of create a effect that processing is going on, right? So it will say evaluating your answer. Okay, so whatever the answer user had given, that will be evaluated. Okay, meanwhile, right? Thereafter, to evaluate the answer, who will be responsible? It is Llama. So I have to generate a request, a post requests to Llama. So request.post. Okay. So this guy will do what? Will generate a response. So HTTP colon double slash. So from where I can generate the request. So let's see these things in our command prompt. What should be our endpoint over here to generate the response, right? So I'll get back to command prompt, and here I'll type Ollama serve, right? So when I type Ollama serve, it is showing that Ollama is already running on this particular port, right? So I'll get back to my web browser and we'll check if it is running or not, right? So here I'll give it. So it is saying Ollama is running. That means this will be our endpoint. So just copy this thing and put it into your over here, right? So HTTP, right? So here HTTP is also required. So just give over a HTTP colon double slash, right? Here I have to generate the request. So slash API slash generate. So call the GENERA, call the API to generate the response. ENERAT. Okay, right. Thereafter, we'll call over here model. So JSON will be equals to the model that I want to call, right? So which model we'll call, that will define over here. And thereafter, while calling the model, we also need to give the prompt. So prompt will be what? Prompt, right? So here, which model should be called? So to check this thing again, we'll get back to our command prompt, right? And here we'll type Ollama list, right? So what are the models we have? We have these three models. We'll pick this Llama 3, right? So we'll pick this Llama 3 and we'll paste it over here. That means I want to generate the output using this Llama 3. Okay. I want the streaming output. So we'll use over here stream is equals to true. This will enable our streaming output. So this is done. Thereafter, the output will be generated. You know, in last example we had seen, it generates a multi-line JSON output. As it generates the multi-line JSON output, that means we need to run a loop which can iterate through each line of the multi-line response, right? So response dot iter underscore lines. So this will iterate through each lines of the JSON output, right? So this is what we had seen in our last video. In case if you have not seen, please go through the last video, you'll understand it better, or the previous few videos in this playlist. in which we had seen why it is required. Why we can't use response directly, because response here used to be multi-line JSON output, right? So we are just picking each line from here, okay, and from that line we are extracting the response key, because output used to be within the response key. In each line there used to be a response key, right? And that response key is containing the output. So for that, first I will use JSON dot loads, right? So I have to load what? I need to load the line, right? That we have line dot decode. Okay, so we are decoding it first as a UTF-8, right? So this is a line, that means we are picking up and decoding it, and thereafter we are accessing the output using data dot get. Okay, what we want over here, the response key. So response key we will get, right? And then the space, so that it can read the next line, right? So now this output we will store somewhere in, let's say I'll store it in a variable called full output, right? So full output is equals to right now blank, right? So now full output plus equals to, all right, that is done. Okay, now we will do what? We will just use if data dot, that means we will keep reading each line, okay, reading the information under the response key, and we'll keep adding into the full output, right? So now we'll see over here, if data dot get, that means the last line used to have done. So if it will get it done, that means done is there, right? Thereafter by default, which is false, right? So if it will get the output as done, we'll break the loop, right? So once we break the loop, we'll come out of the loop, this whole process, right? That means this for loop will end, and thereafter I have to just put over here st dot markdown, that means just showcase the output that is being generated. So for that I'll use a bold character over here, llama 3 feedback, all right? And thereafter we will use st dot success, okay, what? Full output. So whatever the output we have generated, that will be shown as a success box. So this code is done. I hope this will work. Let's see. We'll get back to this interface, that is where our application is running. I'll refresh it, right? And thereafter, let's say I want to work as a data scientist. Tell me about yourself. So my answer will be what? I am people with 11 years experience working on data science projects. Okay, I worked for financial institutions. Okay, spelling is not mandatory. You can be incorrect, right? I worked for financial institutions and service sector companies, right? Thereafter, we can say production companies, right? Thereafter, you can say and some manufacturing companies. Okay, I worked on project such as analyzing credit risk. Okay, production companies, healthcare companies. Let me also use healthcare companies. Okay, credit risk, or you can say drug effect analysis. Okay, health monitoring, and predicting thereafter what I can do. And let's say energy optimization, etc. Okay, so some kind of some random answer. It is obviously not a very good answer. I just want to check like how it is evaluating and giving me a model output, right? So here I have a question, here I have answer, and then I'll ask it to evaluate. So it will start evaluating my answer. It will take some time to evaluate, and thereafter it will give me the model answer. So let's see what output it is generating. We'll wait for a few seconds for the output, and we'll see whether output is as we are expecting it by it or not, right? So let's wait for a few more seconds. So we have a final output evaluation of the candidate response. What's good? Relevant experience. The candidate has provided a clear indication. Variety of industries, right? What can be improved? Lack of clarity. Obviously, I told you I was not giving the information so clear. The response does not specify the candidate roles or responsibility in the projects. Work project description. The project mentioned are too generic, energy optimization, and do not convey the specific challenge faced, right? So these are the things you are getting, like how you can be more better in your response. Typos in grammatical error, there are several typos, institutions, healthcare. It also identifies the typo errors. Here is an example of well structured response. Hello, I'm Bipul with 11 years of experience as data scientist. Throughout my career I have had the opportunity to work with various industries including financial institutions or healthcare or companies and production companies, right? So in each role, I applied my skills in machine learning, statistical modeling, data visualization, data wrangling to drive business values and improve operational efficiency. That's really looks good, impressive, right? I would like to highlight few examples of my achievement. For instance, while working at company X, I led the project that resulted in a 25% reduction in energy consumption cost through predictive analytics and optimization technique. Another notable example is development of healthcare monitoring system for patients with chronic disease, which improved patient outcome by 30%. And with through real-time data, I am excited to discuss my experience and skills further and explore how I can contribute. So this model answer demonstrate a clear, right? So it is looking good, right? Now suppose there is a question, right? Now we can also prepare some of the questions using similar kind of LLM model, but suppose there is a follow-up question over here. So it can be like this: tell us about some data quality issues you faced as data scientist. Okay, so let's say I'll give very generic answer, right? So answer can be like this: it was mostly data having null values or outliers or skewness or biased, right? So this is a very generic answer. Now let's see how it is making it very impressive answer, right? So let's click here, and thereafter let's wait for some time for this thing to generate the answer, right? All right, so it has given its point of view. So the candidate has identified some common data quality issues that are relevant to data scientists. They have some awareness. Now what can be improved? The response is very brief, like one line answer, and lacks specific examples or anecdotes from their past experience. This makes it seems like generic answer rather than thoughtful reflection of actual experience. There is no indication of how they address these issues, that what methods they use to handle them, on any insights they gained from the process. The language also very quiet was, that means mostly or skewed. So this last part is unclear. Now model answer, you can see. Here is example how candidate could be answered. One notable data quality issue I have encountered was with dataset containing customer purchase history. Upon inspection, I found that approximately 20% of the records had missing values. Okay, so this is a better way of representing that data is having the missing values. of the shipping address field. After researching the source of these missing values, I discovered that it was due to an error in our data collection process. To handle this issue, I employed a combination of imputation technique, mean, median, mode, and determined the mean imputation yielded the best result based on metrics such as A/B testing. Another challenge I faced was dealing with outliers, right, related to website traffic. I utilize a statistical method to identify. I have also encountered issues such as skewness. So same thing, but you can see how better it is. Okay, reflecting that what you faced and how you corrected it. Right. So just use this kind of this application, and most better part it is working offline, right? You don't need internet, you don't need any kind of API, and you don't need to worry about the tokens generated, right? So it's totally free of cost and can be your interview assistant. So I wish you very best of luck, and just try to use these kind of application to prepare for the interview. And just let me know, comment down whatever the problem that you are facing while development. Very soon we are going to work with some of the application related to some private document like PDF summarizer, or creating a chatbot using our private PDF kind of thing. So yeah, a lot of applications we are going to create. So stay tuned, keep learning, and happy learning.